The UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA, has placed 6 employees on administrative leave following an NGO report implicating them in inciting violence against Jews. A recent UN Watch review of UNRWA operations in Palestinian schools found that 6 teachers has repeatedly and publicly called to murder Jews. Joining us now is Hillel Neuer, Executive Director of UN Watch. Hello, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us what you've found in your research.
Look, this is one of our latest reports in a series of reports that we've done now for several years. And our latest documentation shows 10 different UNRWA employees, teachers and other staff members who called to murder Jews. Someone like Elham Mansour, she's a teacher in Lebanon, and she says we need to slaughter Zionists. They are filthy criminals, and we shouldn't let one of them live. You have to kill them all. Israel deserves nothing but death. And we found teachers in Jordan saying similar things, glorifying Hamas terrorists. You just showed a photo of child soldiers. These are teachers, and they're glorifying to be soldiers and terrorists. And in the normal system in the UK, in Canada, the countries that donate and that are funding UNRWA, if a teacher is found to be praising Hitler and to be racist, they're fired. They are barred from the classroom for life. And UNRWA has just made an announcement, which we welcome in part, that they have suspended 6 people. So they're acknowledging that there's fire behind the smoke, but they're only suspending them. They should be fired. Why are they deciding that after this administrative measure, they can keep teaching? If these are openly anti-Semitic, virulently anti-Semitic teachers who call to murder Jews. UNRWA does not have a problem having them, and we've documented to date over 120 UNRWA teachers and other employees. The problem is pervasive. UNRWA would like to say that it's a few bad apples, but when you see these Facebook posts, they are liked and shared and commented on, endorsed by many other people, who many of those people are UNRWA employees and teachers. The problem of racism and anti-Semitism is systemic in UNRWA, and they're putting their heads in the sand. They don't want to deal with the problem.
Simply unbelievable. And I have to ask you, Hillel, in 2017, there were terror tunnels that had been dug under 3 of UNRWA's schools in the Gaza Strip. In 2014, there were rockets discovered in UNRWA's schools. They condemned it at that time, but how can Israel be sure that they are not allowing this to happen again?
Unfortunately, Israel can never be sure, and that's why we need the donor states at a minimum, those who are defending UNRWA. The U.S. Biden administration has just renewed funding. They went from 0 to $300 to $400 million a year. Germany is giving something like $170 million a year.
Wow.
The EU is giving something like $140 million. So it's huge amounts. What are the donors doing? And the U.S. did issue a strong statement last week. But again, if they're going to suffice with a Band-Aid, with a slap on the wrist, a temporary suspension, then the U.S. is not serious about stamping out anti-Semitism. And the same with Germany, Sweden, the EU, Switzerland, Canada. They are funding these schools. They are funding the camps where these rocket attacks are often happening below them and being sheltered next to them. They claim afterwards that they didn't know. I think we need to hold UNRWA to account, and that hasn't been happening to date. On the contrary, UNRWA is able to attack us. UNRWA's first reaction on Thursday to our reports is to say UN Watch is a notorious politically motivated organization. Even yesterday, when the Deputy Commissioner General, Lenny Stenseth, announced the suspensions, she said, but you should know that UN Watch is an organization that seeks to destroy, not to build, and that we're about creating conflict.
Yet again, I have to ask you, Hillel, because you were mentioning the U.S. is funding UNRWA, but U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken first confirmed last year in his voice that UNRWA is using anti-Semitic and anti-Israeli information in its educational material. Has anything been done since then?
Well, there have been a number of groups like Impact SE, which are looking at the content of the textbooks. That's very important. It's not something that we looked at, so I can't speak to that. For us, the issue we looked at is beyond the textbooks. It's who are the teachers. Even if you have a math book, and the math book might say you're going to learn how much is 10 plus 10, but if the teacher is Elham Mansour, who says we have to slaughter every Jew, every Zionist, wherever you can find them, you can assume that is going to seep into the classroom, whatever's in the textbooks. So I know that the problem of the teachers, we've documented 120 teachers or other employees. We haven't received one name, not a single name of an UNRWA teacher or employee who's been fired. So we're asking the United States, provide us with names. Who has been fired? You have the 120 names, and if they haven't been fired, why not?
Hillel Neuer, Executive Director of UN Watch, thank you so much for this interview and for all the things that you're doing in UN Watch. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Lital.